Hello Pathfinders, my name is Mweemba, a member of Chainama Seventh-day Adventist Church, which is under Golfview Mission District, Woodlands Conference, Southern Zambia Union Conference, which is under the Southern Indian Ocean Division, under the General Conference. I'm here today to share with you a very interesting honor in camping skills. Now for today's lesson specifically, we'll just look at one component of camping skills, and these components are considered in a companion and explorer. This component is just the 6 things you need to consider when choosing a campsite. For the sake of companion, the only things you have to know, or the only thing you need to know for you to actually complete this requirement, is just to be able to list the 6 things that need to be considered when choosing a campsite. You don't necessarily need to explain them, just knowing them is enough. But as for explorer, you actually need to explain them to give detail as to why each and every nitty-gritty that I'm going to mention today is actually important. So for the sake of this lesson, I will list them and explain them so that we get to understand both aspects. These are the things that you need to consider: the weather, water, wood, wildlife, wind, willingness. Now, if I was the one planning for the camp, I would start with weather. Every camp has got its own objectives and the type of people who can attend. Imagine, for example, I always tell pathfinders to say you are leaders. So meaning, as a pathfinder, you must be in the capacity to plan for an adventurer camp. Can you plan for an adventurer camp in June? And for that matter, a camp that will be held in the bushes, in the mountains? No. Meaning, June cannot be considered as a month in which you can plan. Why? The weather in June is cold. So whenever you're planning for a camp, depending on what camp you're planning for, a survival camp, a camp meeting, a camporee, a camp fair, you look at the weather. You want to hold a camporee during the rainy season. People will get soaked, and usually a camporee is better outdoors. So when can you have it? When it is dry. That is the best time to have a camporee because it is outdoors. So the weather is very important. Water. You need water. Our bodies, the largest quantity of fluids in our bodies is water. We need water. And when you go for a 1-week camp, you not manage to carry containers and buckets and drums of water for the whole week. No. You need a place which has water. A river, So, wildlife. Before we go to wildlife, let's look at wood. Wood is very important to consider. For example, when you're going for a camporee, you need to cook. Charcoal is expensive. You would consider carrying charcoal, but how many bags of charcoal are you going to carry? And if it's very far, so wood is very important to consider, in that you use the wood to even warm yourselves. You use it for campfires if you want at the end of the camp. For example, if it's a camporee or any youth camp in the bush, you use the same wood for cooking. You are assured if you're in the bush, you're going to have enough wood for cooking, and it will not run out during the camping period. Wildlife, obviously, no one would want to go and camp where there are lions, right? No one wants to do that. No one wants to camp where there are snakes, especially snakes. Most of us are scared of snakes. So you need to look at the place you're going to camp. Does this place have harmful wildlife? It's okay to have wildlife, but harmful wildlife, harmful to the human being. You don't want any injuries during the camping period. The wind. Now, this one is usually put into consideration when you go to the place and when planning the camp setup. What do I mean? You want to decide where the sleeping quarters will be, where the pulpit and the chapel will be. On top of that, where the toilets will be. So the thing to consider is the direction of the wind. In most cases, and in most places in Zambia, the wind moves from the east going to the west, meaning that you can never at any point put the toilets in the direction where the wind is coming from. Why? When those toilets start filling up, the bad smell will be going to the sleeping quarters. If the sleeping quarters are on the western side of the wind direction. So this means that the toilets should be the furthest on the western side of the campsite, so that the wind can take up the bad smell and it goes wherever it is going. And then next you can put the sleeping quarters and then the chapel. Why are you putting the sleeping quarters in between? The distance to the chapel and the distance to the toilets should not be very far. So if the sleeping quarters are in between, you don't need to walk a huge distance from your sleeping quarters to where the toilets are. And if the sleeping quarters are in between, you don't have to walk a huge distance or a long distance to the chapel. So the sleeping quarters should be in between. Willingness. This is very important. You might plan and plan and plan and plan and plan and plan and plan, but if nobody is willing to attend your camp, nobody will go. But you'd ask to say, why can't we consider that to be the first thing? People might change their minds on attending the camp mainly on how you've planned the camp. That is why you have to plan all these things, and then you consider the willingness of people. So it is very important to consider the willingness of people. We've come to the end of this session. So remember, weather, water, wood, wildlife, wind, willingness are the 6 things you need to consider when planning for a camp. From me, it's Shalom.